Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm searching for the best family car for a petrolhead, and my search today has taken me to this beautiful Alfa Romeo Giulia Veloce. It's even nice to say. Now, Alfas have always had a reputation for beautiful design and maybe leaving reliability at the door. So I want to find out what a modern Alfa Romeo is like, and this is a car I've wanted to get my hands on for a very, very long time. And when I saw this pop up at Vera Motors in Derbyshire, I had to try it. So today I'm going to tell you what it really feels like for a genuine car to own in the real world, not just a fanciful review. So let's get into it. Welcome back to Retro Revival. I'm your host Will, and this is the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Alfa Romeo's renaissance, if you like, started with this, the Giulia, as a saloon, and then they eventually afterwards brought out the Alfa Romeo Stelvio SUV, and that is also a very, very beautiful car. Unfortunately, they never did this as an estate car. That would have been lovely. I probably would have bought it. So, as a family saloon, you had various engine and trim levels. You had a 2.2 diesel, a 2-litre petrol, and then, of course, most petrolheads will know the Quadrifoglio, the 2.9 V6 Ferrari-derived engine. And I've never driven or seen one, but watching enough YouTube videos of it, the engine alone sounds absolutely fantastic. But what is this like as a normal car that you would buy as a couple or a family? Well, the specs are pretty good. This 2-litre petrol has about 280 horsepower. It's a similar size to a BMW 3 Series or an Audi A4. The boot size is, again, pretty much benchmarked on that. It's a decent size. It goes back further than you would think. However, practically speaking, if that's even a word, the boot lid itself doesn't open very wide. So, big items you might struggle. In the back, there is actually a decent amount of space. It's probably more snug than it looks, just the way it's been designed, but adults will be comfy back there, kids would be absolutely fine back there. In terms of running costs, I've read a lot of owners' reviews this morning, and they say in normal driving mode on a motorway you can hit easily 40 miles per gallon in a car like this, which I'll come on to the driving dynamics in a minute, but I think that's really, really good. Inside, the chairs, the seats here really hug you in. I feel very, very tightly snugged in here, which is good. It's exactly what you want from an Alfa Romeo. The steering wheel is a lot smaller than I thought it'd be. Thin, but that's nice. It holds really, really well. If you read some of the owners' reviews, the earlier models, pre-2019, many owners weren't a fan of the entertainment screen. It is a bit small. It's darker than it should be, but navigating through it, I don't really see that much of an issue. This is more a car to be enjoyed than flicking through digital screens. If you want that sort of experience, you're probably better with an Audi. The rest of it is surprisingly minimalistic. If you're being really picky, the buttons do feel a bit cheap, and that's probably where Alfa Romeo has saved the most amount of money with a car like this. But it doesn't feel like some of the other cars where you can tell they're straight out of a Volvo or the Audi group, the VW group, and how they share parts. It's, if you're being really picky, you would say that's a negative point, but it shouldn't really spoil the enjoyment of the car. It doesn't really register for me anyway. In terms of the driving dynamics, this is the sweet spot of the Alfa. So on my search for the perfect petrolhead family car, I've made a list in the video description below of cars that I've either driven or I'm going to drive or I want to drive. If you have any of those, get in touch. I would love to drive it. If you think there are cars on there that aren't on there, please let me know and I can add it to it. For a 4-cylinder, I thought this would be a little bit lethargic, but I've got this in normal mode and just around town driving, it feels great. The steering is actually really responsive. It feels very sort of go-kart-esque. Very different to my 6 Series BMW, put it that way. It feels incredibly easy to place on the road. It's not that big. You won't have an issue parking in shopping centres, etc. But this feels really, really rewarding to drive. It feels as good to drive as it is to look at. So in terms of the sort of petrolhead family checklist, looks is a check for me. I think most people would agree with that. Driving ability and driving dynamics, I would say absolutely. In terms of reliability, now this was a big thing when this car came out, because as I said, Alfas were design and soul first and reliability perhaps last. But reading through lots and lots of owners' reviews on the internet, forums, Facebook groups, the main issues are electronics, and many owners saying that the factory battery that this came with wasn't up to standard. So with a weak battery, it would drain fast, and when it drains fast, you get electrical gremlins, you get warning lights coming on the dash even after just leaving the car for a couple of days. So I think a lot of those issues would be ironed out by a stronger, more expensive battery. But generally speaking, I haven't heard any horror stories. Of course there will be, that's just with cars generally, but for saying Alfa's reputation on reliability, this hasn't lived up to the horror show of previous generations. As I said, driving dynamics, I'm on a country road right now and I'm still in normal. The steering is wonderful. It corners so flat, so sharp. This really, I'm sure the Quadrifoglio is the bee's knees, but from a family and just general ownership perspective, yes, the Quadrifoglio is what everyone wants, but not everyone can afford it. So in my personal opinion, I would say this is the model to go for. I personally think it's a bit of a shame to have this good looks and this driving ability to put a 2.2 diesel in it. The 280 horsepower is more than adequate for what you would ever need, and that's even before I've put it into D, in the DNA setup. So as soon as I've done that, I felt the steering be heavier, and straight away, it wants to go. Absolutely. You can hear the turbo spooling up almost preemptively. The throttle response is instant, and do you know what? For a 4-cylinder petrol, it sounds really, really good. And of course you have the Ferrari style paddle shifters, which are just, I love how eccentric they are. There's no need for them to be this big, but it really works. It adds to the character of this car. And with all the crossovers and semi-SUVs on the UK roads at the moment, this is a sort of car that will stand out. Of course in the beautiful Misano blue, but just generally people look at this and it's a fantastic looking car. It's the sort of car that you park in a supermarket car park and you would absolutely look back and smile. So it's also a good car to tell people you have. If you're a petrolhead and you go to a car meet and people ask you what you're driving, saying I've got an Audi A4, does that Does that really, you know, get your heart racing? Possibly not, but an Alfa Romeo Giulia, absolutely. I think this is the perfect balance of being a usable family car and having fun. Yes, there's cars in front of me, so I can't exploit the gaps, but this has got character, and there's not many new cars on today's roads that I have personally experienced that have got character. I must say a huge thank you to Vera Motors in Derbyshire for loaning me this car. It's, as I said, it's a car that I've wanted to test drive for a very, very long time, and it is straight on there on the shortlist of next petrolhead focused family cars. It has a real character, and I like that. I really like that. Oh, it's punchy. It's absolutely punchy. It has a lot, with that turbocharger, it feels a lot punchier than I was expecting for a 4-cylinder petrol. And it, like I say, in D, it just wants to drive dynamically. I expected this to be firmer as well. On Derbyshire back roads, which we have one of the worst reputations for potholes and road quality in the UK, actually no issues whatsoever. This feels perfectly usable. I'm not craning, I'm not anticipating potholes. You feel the road, but not in a bad way. You want to feel connected to it, and that's what you do here. It's like I say, I'm struggling to pick fault with it. Yes, I'm not living with it. There will be quirks and annoyances that come into play when you live with a car full time. But first impressions, what a car. What a car. And this is a 2017 with 88,000 miles for $13,995. When I saw this and wanted to test drive it, I wasn't even looking at the price. When I saw the price, I was like, wow, it's a hell of a lot of car for the money. And again, I'm sure they're out there, but I'm not hearing many horror stories when it comes to reliability. So if you had covered up the mileage on this car, I genuinely would have said 50 to 60,000 miles. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is rattling or creaking or is aging badly at all. It feels and smells new in here, which again is probably testament to the previous owners. It's testament to the type of stock that Vera Motors have, because every single car they ever sell has got full service history and comes with 6-month warranty. But yeah, this is really, really nice. I would happily drive this away today. If I didn't test drive any more cars, then that's what I would be happily getting this every single day. Reading some owners' reviews, they mention the brakes are a bit different to other cars, and they take some getting used to. Yes, I know it's the brake-by-wire system, and many petrol heads won't like that, but personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with the brakes. They feel perfectly suited to the car. So, thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you haven't subscribed, then please do, if you haven't done already. I'll see you next time. Cheers.